3 hours to go before the Modi-nomics era begins, before the union budget is presented in the Lok Sabha. All signs point to a tough budget, without any political lollipops, without any ambitious schemes to cater to individual egos or vote banks. There could even be some relief in store, however, for the common man. Relief in taxes and slowly relief in prices. Headlines Today has identified the 10 top possibilities of what this budget has in store for you. Remember, this affects your life, and not 3 months from now, not 6 months from now. It could start even tomorrow. Here's that basic budget blueprint. You need to watch this.
First off, there could be tax relief in store for the middle class. Reports are the 1 lakh rupee exemption under Section 80C could be raised for partial relief to the middle class. Though chances of a change in tax slabs are minimal, there could be some removal of surcharges.
As far as tax relief for individuals are concerned, what is likely to happen is that people will get exemptions for higher savings because savings has come down, not outright rebate on incomes.
Possibility number 2, a booster dose for the industry, also with a tax relief. Any cut in taxes for companies would be a big relief, given that India has some of the highest levels of corporate taxes. This too would take shape over the next few years. Possibility number 3, a reiteration of the railway budget model, involvement of private money to bridge the funding gap. In short, the government does not have money to fund its ambitious plans, particularly bridge the infrastructure gap. So a plan would be to fall back on private money. This though would come with tough time completion clauses.
As far as tax reliefs for companies are concerned, the survey clearly says that Indian companies are taxed more heavily than most of the emerging markets, and the direction is towards reducing the taxes on almost all companies, whether Indian or foreign.
The next measure, fourth one, could ensure you pay the right price for stocking your kitchen. A move supremely revolutionary, to say the least. Farmers will basically sell directly to the consumer, bypassing the middlemen who have been blamed with hoarding and profiteering. A new law may be on the anvil, a tough law that may override existing state laws. And the last, and probably the toughest, biting the bullet on labor reforms, something that's been ignored by all governments till date. There's a possibility of the Archaic Factories Act 1948 being amended to allow for more current labor laws. Though Modi government will be slammed by labor unions and political parties alike for these changes, it would be a major booster for the stagnant economy.
पिछले कुछ दशकों से एक बिखराव महसूस होता था, टुकड़ों में सोचा जाता था। पहली बार समग्रतया भारत के विकास को ध्यान में रख करके रेलवे बजट में बल दिया गया है।
These lines, though said to defend the rail budget, could hold true later today as well. Though the measures are tough, the mood of the nation is such that Modi may just be able to carry them forward. Bureau Report, Headlines Today.
Well, let's go straight across live now to Headlines Today's Aditi Ananthanandan joining us live from right outside Arun Jaitley's residence. Also with us live is Ashish Mehrishi, live with us from right outside Parliament. Aditi, 3 hours to go before the Modi-nomics era, as it were, actually begins. Huge expectations, virtually unprecedented. We'll just go to Aditi in just a moment. Let's go to Ashish Mehrishi first for that. Ashish, like I was asking Aditi, the expectations from the first Modi-nomics budget are enormous. You know, given the sorts of things that we've seen, the announcements that have been made, the huge controversy over bitter pills and tough decisions, the expectations nevertheless are absolutely unprecedented. They are huge. An entire country, Ashish, is looking towards the Modi-nomics era for respite from the financial faltering and the economic gloom of the country.
Very true. In fact, Shiv, what we have to see this time is whether politics still takes over the economics or not. Because we still have to see that there are state elections coming, and we have already seen that in the rail budget, two decisions, especially the protest that we saw in Maharashtra, and the government had no option but to roll back, the fares in Mumbai. But at the same time, you also see, the gas prices that were supposed to be increased, that has been put on hold.
Yes.
So there are major decisions which have been put on hold. But nevertheless, you have to accept the fact that, the way Finance Minister spoke yesterday after the economic survey,
Absolutely.
he very clearly said that, the economy is in tatters, and there is no other option but to put it in place. But, and if any cues are from the economic survey, the Finance Minister has no option but to cut down on subsidies. He has to get the financial health of the economy in place. So certainly expectations are there. They would like to cater to the middle class who has voted them to power. But they still, at the same time, they have the mandate, so they can take tough decisions. They have 5 years to go.
Well, absolutely. They've got 5 years to go. This is a budget coming very soon after that thumping mandate. Aditi is right outside Arun Jaitley's residence. Aditi, the mandate is there. The expectations are there. The field is wide. The canvas is open for some very big radical decisions that could completely alter and course correct India's progress, economic strength as well. Politically speaking, it's a tumultuous time because you've got a very aggressive Congress. Things aren't, as they should be for the BJP in the Rajya Sabha as well. Politically speaking, Aditi, what are you hearing about the kind of latitude and maneuvering space that Arun Jaitley and Modi have with this budget?
See, at this point of time, Shiv, one thing is very clear that even the Finance Minister Arun Jaitley had specified yesterday when the economic survey was released that it will be very challenging for the BJP-led NDA government at this point of time. In fact, he had clearly mentioned that the country is suffering from a policy paralysis owing to the doings of the UPA government over the past decade. In fact, it will be a very practical budget. That is what the sources within the BJP and within the government are saying. But if you see that there won't be many mindless populist measures that the BJP government will be taking at this point of time.
Yes.
They will try to be as practical as possible, and like we saw in the rail budget as well, they will be eyeing at mainly working on all the pending projects that were left by the UPA government. In fact, so to say, if we see that there will be a big relief for the common man, that kind of looks highly unlikely as far as the budget is concerned. But at this point of time, the BJP government is going to try as much as possible to take over from where the UPA government had left. There's
Yes.
a lot of pending projects from the UPA government. The BJP wants to fulfill that. They want to do a little more better for the common man. But if we expect a lot out of the maiden budget of Finance Minister Arun Jaitley, that seems to be highly unlikely. Yes, it will be a grave political move for the BJP government. They want to prove a point to the UPA government and to the Congress party.
But things
So
are
it will be
actually
interesting
worse
to
than
see
they
whether
seem.
how-
Ashish, I want to bring you in. I want to just quote from the Mail Today lead story, our sister newspaper Mail Today's lead story, which runs with the bold, big headline, "Bad news ahead of budget as annual economic survey highlights India's worst growth slowdown in 30 years." The fiscal situation in particular, Ashish, is so dire at this point of time. Notwithstanding all the window dressing and the cosmetic, sort of superficial touching up that the UPA did, the situation is actually much worse than initially expected, Ashish.
Well, Shiv, if you see the economic indicators as of now, P. Chidambaram, when he was the finance minister, he brought down the fiscal deficit to 4.5%, and
Yes.
that was the target. But at that point of time, one has to understand why that 4.5%, the figure that it was arrived at. The 4.5% figure has come because the government had reduced the capital expenditure. It means the money that was allocated to social security schemes and to government projects, that was not given to the concerned ministries.
Yes.
That means you are slowing down the economy, and that is what you have seen, that the economic growth is it is still sub 5%, and now the government expects in this financial year 2014-15 to bring it to 5.4 to 5.9%.
Yes.
But the economic survey says that it will be on the lower side only. So it is because of the steps that the government had taken, the kind of money that they had spent on dolonomics, that has to be curbed, and that was the first thing that economic survey has said, that the entire social security security schemes like the Manrega, the Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan, the other social security schemes, that all will be revamped.
Yes,
so that
yes.
these things are very, very important. We're going to see some UPA key projects that they had in mind, the social security schemes, will be revamped by the NDA government. And at the same time, if you see the common man expects some money in their pocket. So they expect at least a little change in the tax slabs. They want a little more money in their pocket. And apart from that, under ATC, they want a little more exemptions, because
Absolutely.
1 lakh exemption.
We're going to come to that in just a moment, Ashish. We're going to talk about the exemptions and the expectations of the middle class as well. But battling stunted growth over the past few years, industry, India Inc. is hoping for a growth-oriented budget, as Ashish just pointed out, with tax breaks and incentives to revive the ailing manufacturing sector.